First Corinthians 2, verses 9 and 10 is super encouraging. It says, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him." Now, that's something we need to know. That's verse 9, and that is something we need to know right now. And that's not just talking about one day in heaven, that's talking about all the time, in time and through time. There are things that God, good things, vistas, views, experiences, revelations, impartations, ministries, callings, giftings. There are things that God has prepared for you that we still are catching up to. And that's a beautiful thing. But the next verse, verse 10 says, "But God has revealed them to us by the Spirit. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God." And it goes on to say that who knows what's inside a man more than the Spirit? No one. The Spirit of that man knows what's inside him. Even so, the Spirit of God knows what's inside him. And the miracle of all miracles is that Spirit of God comes and lives inside us to reveal the deep things of God to us. You right now are sitting with access to the deep things of God. And that's what the Holy Spirit wants to do. What does that require? It requires simply our tuning in, our turning aside to see that burning bush of revelation. And I just want to tell you today that I love that word searches, that he searches. It's almost as if he goes throughout the deep, vast wisdom of God to find what we need in the moment. It's such a generous, wonderful guidance, if you will. You know, when you think about a search function on a computer, we all Google things or we, search for things we need to know. And you know how big and vast the collective knowledge of the internet is. And yet in a matter of a few seconds or less, there's our results. How much more is the wisdom of God? How much more does the Holy Spirit take delight in displaying the wisdom of God to you when you need it, to you when you are questing for it, to you when you need encouragement, when you need to be refreshed in his love? The Holy Spirit takes delight in searching that out and in getting that message, that truth to you. I have a notebook that I love. My friend Nicole gave me this notebook, and it says, "Your vibe attracts your tribe." And I did a preach one Sunday morning, and I basically was just saying, this is why it matters that you are yourself. This is why authenticity as a Christian matters, is because you have been given a deposit of some aspect of God's image. We're all made in his image, but he has willed that we display him in our unique way, because there's a certain tribe of people, not just an ethnicity, but a certain way of thinking, a certain wiring in people that is going to be attracted to Christ in us, the hope of glory. So it matters that you manifest your true kingdom vibe, your frequency with him, because that frequency is going to find its home in people who are wired similarly, but do not yet know how God looks in that frequency. It's kind of what the 7 mountains, 7 spheres message is all about. Some of these ideas coalesced yesterday into an experience that affected our family, and I just want to share it with you. I'm sure it's happened to many people, but these things, this is why testifying is so powerful. It's not just the concept, it's when it's your family that it happens to. That is just fresh and new. It's kainos. It's brand new. It's never happened this way before. So yesterday we were all busily doing our things about planning more and more and more for how we do church in this new era, taking care of business. We're just going about the house. And all of a sudden we get a text from our middle son, who somehow has just seen, I think on Instagram, that Bethel Church Austin is posting prophetic words. I think it was Instagram. It was one of the social platforms. And they said, "This is a word for anyone named Joseph. If you know someone named Joseph, tell them this is a word for them." Well, our oldest son is named Joseph. Everybody calls him Joe, but for most of his life, I was adamant that people would say Joseph until in high school I couldn't keep that happening anymore, and he became Joe. But it was significant to me because it was really significant that he was named after the Joseph in the Bible, and that example and the meaning of the name and all of those things. And this was to Joseph, and it was several specific things, and I think 5 specific things. And when you know things, you know things. They're knowing his life. Those 5 things were so incredible and accurate that I told Joe, I said, I know that's to somebody besides you. There's more than one Joseph that can receive for this, but it's as if you're the only one because this is the most accurate word. And within a few minutes, several of us, our middle son tagged Joe, and Joe immediately said, oh, they said, this is to someone named Joseph. Let us know if it's you. And he in a few minutes had been contacted. He didn't see it, but our middle son showed it to him. And then he wrote on there, this is spot on. And I was just completely amazed at the fact that God chose this methodology to get a message to someone he loved. Like, he could have done it so many ways. He could speak directly, Joe, and I'm sure he was speaking. Some of those things I think he was speaking directly to Joe. But here he uses a church in Austin, Texas, who decides to get on social platform and listen to the Lord for prophetic words, and out this word goes, and one of our sons catches it, tells a few of us, we all go read the word, and we're just amazed and blown away. And then it finds its home in Joe's heart, who even, just the methodology of it, the search function of the Holy Spirit, to put that out there and know that it would find its way to where it needed to go. We were incredibly encouraged. I was thrilled for Joe, but even more than that, I zoomed out and I thought about the ability of the Holy Spirit to get his word out there, to get it said, to get it communicated. He is the master communicator, and he knows how to bring out what's inside of you. And that's the thing. When a prophetic word is true, it's bringing out the truth already inside you that you had not been aware of so many times. And so I just today want to recommend that we just pause and believe once again, God, you have more to speak to me than I've heard. You have more to say to me than I've known. You have more to confirm to me than I have tapped into. And if you can use a church 3.5 hours away through the internet in a quarantine time to get a message to somebody who isn't even on social media at that moment, but someone will know him and get it to him, to remind him of the name that he's called by for so many years of his life and why he was named that, and to speak specific, spot-on things that just answer questions, provide affirmation, guidance, confirmation. He's no respecter of persons. He loves my son Joseph, but he loves you, he loves me, he loves every one of us. And he is highly creative in what he's doing. He knows exactly how to get the message communicated. There's no noise on his channel. He eliminates the noise. He properly encodes it, and he even helps you with the decoding of it. He has good things, and he wants to communicate those good things to you. And the search function of the Holy Spirit knows exactly what to pull and when to pull it and how to get it to your doorstep. I remind you of those Amazon packages that I told you one day, some arrived that I didn't even remember ordering. There are things headed to you. There are things amazing. There are things he wants to communicate to you. Believe it and turn aside and see that amazing burning bush of his love.